Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Bahashem, Waharakah Kwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone, and including the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmi Shai Brakatham, to the elect overall, whom this gospel is for, and it's your brother Laban. And I just want to talk about this as well, getting right into it from the MiddleEastEye.com or .net. Reads, Turkey severs all relations with Israel, says Erdogan. Turkish president says he will not continue to or develop nations with Israel in future. Erdogan made the comment to journalists aboard his plane following visited to Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan. The government of the Republic of Turkey, under the leadership of Tayyip Erdogan, will not continue or develop relations with Israel, Erdogan says. Our ruling coalition is resolute in its decision to cut ties with Israel, and we will maintain this stance in the future as well. We, as the Republic of Turkey and its government, has currently severed all relations with Israel, and so that they could, because they're their own government backed by the people, right? And so Turkey is no longer moving like a NATO ally anymore, but rather moving unilaterally and swaying to the eastern side of things, siding with Russia. Plus, we got to also include it down with the BRICS fully, which Russia's the head of that. And ultimately, Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, is in the happenings. Now, this went out last month and 4 days ago. This is from the Christian Post, as this reads over here. The axis of Ezekiel 38. Turkish press, Erdogan calls for Russia, Iran, Turkey, Syrian alliance against Israel. The most concrete threat to the regional and global peace, says Erdogan. It is essential that Russia, Iran, and Syria take more effective measures against this situation, which poses the greatest threat to Syrian territory integrity, Erdogan said when asked about the recent alleged Israeli airstrikes in the nation's capital, Damascus. Syrian Arab News Agency accused Israel of carrying out an airstrike in the Meza neighborhood in Damascus on Tuesday night. And also, I'm going to do another video and speaking about how the whole UN declared that they committed a crime against humanity or something like that. Right? So I'm going to get into that. I think, yeah, this is it right here. I'm going to touch on it in a minute. Let me, I know what to do. Let me do this. Yeah. Right. Okay. So it wasn't even on there. Let me go forward. Yeah, this is it right here. UN officially accuses Israel of committing mass genocide. Right. So now let's even read Ezekiel 38 now. And let's do this. First, the first verse. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, which is Russia, which the term Russia is from the Hebrew word Rasha, which means the head. And Meshech and Tubal, these are two areas which one of the sons of Japheth were in, and that's why they named those lands after their names. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shield, and all of them having swords, which was that gathering together of the military of Russia, which was I think 200,000 to 400,000 strong. They had the mobilization. Okay. So as this reads, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, and Gomer and all of his bands, which Gomer is a part of Turkey, and the house of Togarmah, which is the same, of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. And be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. And that's what Russia's been doing throughout the years, sending them weapons and stuff, sending Syria weapons like the S-300s, S-400s, even right around the time when you had David Cameron as the prime minister and President Barack Obama at the time. Okay? And still, it's the same thing. You know, Russia's definitely taking care of their allies. So, what they planning on doing is going against Israel, which that's also in Ezekiel 38 as well. Because when we read all the way down here, even onto the 8th verse, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. So reading on. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, and thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. So what land is going to be brought back from the destruction? The land of Israel. So you're going to have America, which will be totally annihilated, and it will be a no man's land like it used to be. And no longer will that land be inhabited. And you're going to have other lands that's going to receive destruction as well. And as well as Israel is going to be destroyed. But Israel is going to be brought back. All right? Through us. And is gathered out of many people, because you have many people in the land of Israel. You got them Edomites there. You got them so-called Palestinians that are there. And many others. And against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely in all of them. Who will dwell safely in all of them? The nation of Israel. And thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. And when I say the nation of Israel, I'm talking about us, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians. When we get back into that land, we're going to be dwelling safely in the land. That's in the book of Isaiah chapter 2, Isaiah the 60th chapter, where it mentions that no violence will be near thy dwellings. All right, Isaiah chapter 2, I didn't quote a couple of verses in that, which tells us that the nations will not lift up a sword against nation anymore. They won't learn war anymore. And the likes. Ezekiel 38 and verse 9. And thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, and thou and all of thy bands and many people with thee. That's the axis of Ezekiel, 38, as the article says. So come on, you can't tell me that this ain't the doings of the Lord, man. This is prophecy happening. This is prophecy and the happening. So going back over here, verse 10, and thus saith the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, and that is America, because America doesn't have military to protect the American people or the land itself, but there's military bases all around everywhere else, but there's no military bases to protect America that dwell safely, and all of them dwelling without walls, meaning they don't have no defense, and having neither bars nor gates. Okay, verse 12, and to take a spoil, and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered. So let's read this again. To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Because the place that will be desolate for a while is the land of Israel. Okay? And then that land is going to be what? Brought back from the sword, as I just read earlier before. So the land of Israel is going to be re-inhabited. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, because you have several nations that are there in the land. Okay, like I said, the so-called Palestinians and them Edomites that are calling themselves us, them JOOishes, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish, with all of the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil, and hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto the Gog, thus saith the Lord power, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou know it. And of course they're going to know it, because they're going to be in slavery as well. Speaking about this particular verse here, or these particular 3 verses here, I remember the leader of the Sakari camp, Al-Azhar, was breaking this down, and he went off with this. He said that by the time when Russia comes up against Israel, we're going to be in Israel. No. What this is actually saying is that they're going to come up against those that are dwelling in the land right now, where all of this is going to happen. Which Ezekiel, in this case, he's referring to what is read in the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter, where it mentions the forces of the Gentiles, right? How they're going to give us all of their goods and their resources. That's what this is talking about. This is not talking about when we get into the land, the third war is going to be had, and the Russians are gonna come forward towards us. That's not what it's talking about. You got to look at it from a spiritual eye. All right. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say on the Gog, thus saith the Lord power, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, thou shalt not know it. And the answer to that question is yes, they're going to know it. Okay. So that's what that is. So that's all I got to say with this over here. So now what I want to do is I want to read this, as this reads, UN officially accuses Israel of committing mass genocide. The UN Special Committee comprised 3 member states, Malaysia, Senegal, and Sri Lanka, claims Israel used starvation as a weapon of war, same way that the ancient Romans did to us, which they're the same descendants of those people. The reports released amid ongoing scrutiny of Israel's military response to the 7th of October Hamas attack highlights the difficult conditions facing Gaza's 2.3 million residents, particularly in terms of restricted access to food, water, and medical care and shelter. The policies and practices of Israel during the reporting periods are consistent with the characteristics of genocide, the report state, urging immediate steps to be taken to protect civilian lives. So, based on what Malaysia, Senegal, and Sri Lanka has declared, the UN overall has accused them of committing massive genocide, which is a truth. The evidence show forth that that's what they're doing. And by this, now the nations are hating them. Okay? Obadiah 1 and verse 1, in the vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. And the her is referring to Babylon the Great. And behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. So overall, the West is being greatly despised, and much more, even Israel is being greatly despised. And these Edomites in general have been greatly despised, are greatly despised. Okay? The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, and thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So from the east to the west, these devils are being despised amongst these other nations. And so these other nations have a bone to pick with these devils. Just like what happened in the Congress room in Australia. You had those aboriginals over there doing a war dance. All right? So these nations are angry right now because all of these evil deeds that these devils have been up into doing against these other nations. And it's just breeding frustration. Proverbs 13 and verse 10, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. So Esau has ruled the earth with a contentious spirit, as it is written, How is the whole ham of the earth cut asunder? Which will be the case because of their wrongdoing. Because you can only but do wickedness for a span of time. And verse 4 to verse 5. Knowing thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. And there you go. So with us in this case, when we rule the planet Earth, our righteousness is going to lead into being everlasting. That's how the Most High is. Yes, the Lord deals with both sides of the spectrum, good and bad, but ultimately the Most High is a righteous power. So the righteousness which the Lord will put upon us, which is the new covenant, that's what's going to allow us to continue to stand in rulership. The only reason why we fell as a nation is due to our wickedness. But when there's no wickedness within us, we're going to stand forever. But see, this devil, his wickedness is going to bring him to a bound. And once that bound has been hit, then the Lord is going to exact judgment upon them. Seeing his days are determined and the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So there you go. So now let's go back and read. Let's read this again. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And let me tell you something about pride, man. Pride will deceive you. Okay? Pride will deceive you to the point where you ain't seeing anything because you're smelling yourself too much. And if people tell you to do something, you're not going to do it because you think you're better than them, or you don't see the reason why you should do what they tell you to do. Because you just swear down you got it. Adversity will show you that you don't got it. And you're brought back to reality. Okay? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, this will I bring thee down, saith the Lord, as well as Yahweh Shai even said. He said, he that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that is abased shall be exalted. So what we're going to see on a grand scale is we're going to see judgment coming from the Lord. And so we will see the great downfall of this devil. Because he came with great pride, and with great pride, what? As the scripture says, with pride comes contention. Let's even go back and read this again. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. And really what he's doing, he's contending against his power. Contentious, which means causing or likely to cause an argument, controversial, involving heated argument. Yeah, and you kind of meet people like that from time to time. People that are arrogant, that are smelling themselves too much. They do tend to be argumentative. Psalm 7 and verse 14, behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and have conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood, lies. That's the only thing that this devil can do, is lie. He has a weak sense of character about him. And people that have a weak character, they have to cheat all the time. They can't play fair. Because if they do play fair, they'll get dusted out here. So in all of this cheating that he's been doing, hey, there lies a consequence for all of that. Verse 15. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealings shall come down upon his own pate. I will praise the Lord Yahweh according to his righteousness, and I will sing praise in the name of the Lord Yahweh the Most High. And so shall we do so when we see the reward of the wicked. Looking down above from the chariot, as that's even written in the book of Revelations, the 15th chapter, we're going to behold and see the reward of the wicked, which will be the destruction of the civilization, holy. Psalms 119 and verse 118, thou hast trodden down all of them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is falsehood. Thou hast put us away all of the wicked of the earth like dross, and therefore I love thy testimonies. And so will the Lord do eventually. All right? All of this left-hand side shit that Esau has been up to and got certain jakes into, all of these Negroes, and even among those that of the northern kingdom as well that have sold out, guess what? As the scripture says, don't hand you in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. All of you niggas are going down with this devil when he goes down. All right? So that's just the bottom line. That's how this thing's going down, baby. So that's all I got to say with this. I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmi Shai Bashem, Wahab Rakah Kwadash. And with that, I close. Yahweh Bashmi Shai Brakatham to the 144,000 and the 1/3, whom this gospel is for. It's your brother Laban. Shalom.